Hi everyone, welcome to Miss Adams Teaches Romeo and Juliet. In this short video, we are going to be taking a detailed look at Act 3, Scene 4. It may be very little, but it's very, very important in terms of moving the plot along. So let's get started.
So as always, we'll start with a quick plot summary. The scene begins with a conversation taking place between Capulet, his wife Lady Capulet, and Paris in the Capulet mansion. Capulet is apologising to Paris for not having spoken to Juliet about their potential wedding, explaining that, of course, because of what's happened to Tybalt, it wasn't really appropriate. But they both give a promise that they'll talk to Juliet the following morning, as they comment on the fact that Juliet is alone in her bedroom, grieving. Obviously, dramatic irony, we know that's not what's going on in that bedroom because Romeo's with her. The conversation moves to the logistics of the wedding, and it stops being a theoretical, would she perhaps like to, and it becomes a certainty. And actually, Capulet gives Paris his assurance that Juliet will do as he tells her and will say yes to the marriage. And suddenly there's a sense of urgency about it, where they start to talk about what day they should get married. Wednesday is proposed, and then when Capulet realizes that it's actually Monday, he sort of thinks it through and then makes the very sensible decision that they'll get married on Thursday in just 3 days' time. So this scene, it's very, very quick, but it's all about this idea of haste, urgency, immediacy, hurling us to the tragic end of Romeo and Juliet. So one little section for us to look at here is this conversation that Capulet and Paris have, which I'm just going to very quickly take you through. Obviously, the big focus here is dramatic irony, because we as the audience know that Romeo and Juliet are in fact already married. Not just that they're already married, but they are consummating their marriage in this moment in her bedroom. And whilst that is going on, Capulet is offering Paris promises. Capulet says that he will make a desperate tender of my child's love, which basically means a bold move or a bold suggestion. So there's a part of him that recognises that what he's doing is a little contentious, speaking before he's, had it confirmed properly with Juliet. But this comes from his absolute belief in his patriarchal control. He says, I think she will be ruled in all respects by me. Nay, more, I doubt it not. So note the use of modal verbs here, that there's sort of certainty. She will be ruled, not she might, she will. And then he sort of, it's not repeating the same language, but it's repeating the same sentiment, that there is no doubt in his mind that she will do as he says, because obviously at that time, daughters were expected to marry exactly who their father wished. And it had naught to do with love, it was simply to do with alliances. And actually, have a little look at the way that Capulet is describing Paris. He refers to him as my son here, and then later on in the conversation when he's talking to his wife, he says, go and tell her she shall be married to this noble earl. So there's a really big focus on his status, and there's a lot of flattery here. The simple fact is that marriages were about making partnerships that would create wealth and status, or more new land, for example. And it is quite clear here that that's what's driving him. Perhaps because of what's happened with Tybalt, he's recently lost a prominent member of his family with great prospects. And so it's more important to him than ever to sort of create this relationship. But what's really worrying about this is the pace and the urgency and the impulsive behaviour here. It helps us understand the way that the feud has developed over this time, because actually this is acting without thinking, and creating obviously much more drama. It's very, very rash. particularly if you consider it in contrast to how he spoke right very early on in Act 1, when he and Paris were having that conversation. Then he said, "My child is yet a stranger in the world. She has not seen the change of 14 years. Let 2 more summers wither in their pride, ere we may think her ripe to be a bride." So back then he was saying, oh, come on, you know, she's not yet 14, give it a couple of years, that'll be better. But now suddenly it's all about move, let's get them married, let's get them sorted. And we said right back then, you know, is this concern, is this focus on her consent real, or is it just something that he's saying, well, perhaps here is the truth of it, he does expect her to do exactly as he says. So last little bit, so it's very, very quick scene, so not much to say. Major themes, so of course, is marriage, the kind of contractual nature of marriage. Lovely points on context to say there. Conflict is obviously rooted in the scene, because this scene creates more complication that Romeo and Juliet are going to have to overcome. We've got consequences we're being reminded of here, more the kind of hypothetical consequences. We're thinking about what is to come. So what's going to happen as a consequence of Capulet's rash, impulsive decision making here. Patriarchal control is a major factor here, because we are seeing Capulet make decisions on Juliet's behalf, telling his wife what to do, how to deliver the news. This is very much him as the patriarch. And very importantly, the concept of time. If you just look through the scene, count how many references to time there are, or how many days of the week are mentioned. This pace, this urgency, like I said before, it's all there to push us fast towards the tragic end of the play. That's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got any questions, do just drop me a comment and I will get back to you. As you probably are aware, this is a sequence of videos, scene by scene tutorials. If you haven't subscribed, do so, and then you can see when the next ones are available. Not to mention the wealth of videos in my channel that will help you through your studies of English literature and language. Thank you again for watching. Happy revising.